We're going to take a quick look at European markets. The stock closed higher following a positive trend set at the end of last week and overnight in Asia-Pacific markets. So the DAX in Germany, that closed higher, up 2.4%. And in France, also up higher, just up 1.95%. And we'll take a look in London, because despite disappointing economic news, which we'll come to in a moment, the FTSE 100 made strong gains, led by the miners, retailers and the banks, up 1.66%. Now, our economic news I just hinted at. July GDP fell short of forecasts, up a mere 0.2%, around half of what was expected. So, is the UK teetering on the edge of recession? Let's talk to Fiona Cincotta, who's an analyst at City Index. Thanks for coming on the programme. So it's a pretty feeble rebound, isn't it? I mean, more like stagnation. What would you say that people and businesses are spending less on?
Okay, so we saw that there was contraction in construction and in production. So production was hit by a fall in demand for energy, like electricity. Now, that could be closely related to the fact that we had sort of an abnormally warm summer, but it could also be the start of what we're seeing, sort of changing behaviours of people and businesses as energy prices rise. Now, we also saw that sort of as far as the services sector is concerned, which is the dominant sector here in the UK, the growth came in below expectations, and it was very much sort of concentrated in business-to-business services like accountancy and IT, and that consumer-facing services. They grew, but, you know, the growth was well below pre-pandemic levels, and that's just highlighting sort of, you know, that squeeze that we're seeing on households as the cost of living crisis continues.
So it does seem not a question of if, but when we're going to slip into a recession, although last week's announcement of an energy price guarantee might reduce how deep that recession goes. It's going to be a challenging year ahead, though, isn't it?
Definitely. I mean, I think it's going to be very difficult for the UK to avoid a technical recession, so 2 consecutive quarters of contracting GDP. But I do think that sort of energy relief package has improved the outlook, particularly across this winter. So we think the cap is on around £2,500 for household energy bills. And if we sort of take into account current pricing supports, that's more or less where we're sitting at the moment. So, you know, we would expect inflation at least to slow going forward. And businesses as well, you know, there's support for businesses over the coming 6 months, which means, you know, we're not really expecting unemployment to shoot higher, which might have been the case if that support wasn't on hand.
Now, we're going to have an extra bank holiday in the UK in September for the Queen's State funeral. Do you expect that that's going to distort growth in the way that the Jubilee celebrations did?
Yes, so, you know, it's very typical when there is a bank holiday for GDP sort of growth to be distorted and see sort of, you know, a fall perhaps in GDP growth because of that. We're expecting sort of, you know, possibly around a 0.2% hit on the back of the upcoming bank holiday. Now, what can happen is afterwards, you know, you would naturally expect to see a bit of a bounce back from that as well. But I think perhaps what's key here is because we've had quite a volatile summer as far as GDP data is concerned, the Bank of England are probably going to be looking at other data points more closely when they meet for their interest rate decision meeting next week.
All eyes on that. Fiona Cincotta, a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.